Hi friends of Jubilee Plus, welcome to this week's Monday Mercy video. I just love that we can read the same passages of scripture over and over and over again and yet find new, fresh, rich, deep treasures in them each time we do. I've been reading John's Gospel with some friends just at the moment, and I've read John's Gospel many times, but it's strange. In each story this time I'm reading, I'm seeing something that I haven't seen before. And now you may think that the things I'm about to say are really obvious and you've perhaps seen them for ages, but I just love the fact that God can do that. He can reveal things to us at each new reading. So a passage of scripture that I've read at least a dozen times, I'm sure many more, can come with fresh life, and God can speak to me and to us through it. And so the passage I've been looking at and pondering for the last few days is John chapter 9, where we see Jesus heal a guy who was born blind. We're told that this guy is a beggar. He's been born blind, and it's the weirdest account in the sense that, Jesus spits on the ground, makes a mud pie, puts it on this guy's eyes, and then tells him to go and wash. And when the guy washes, he can see. He's never seen before in his life. Now, what would this have meant for him immediately, in the immediate aftermath of this wonderful miracle happening? Actually, we find it's pretty difficult for him. I mean, we see that the religious leaders, the Pharisees, want to know what's happened. They're upset about it. It's happened on the Sabbath, and they're trying to find things to accuse Jesus of. And it says in this passage that actually, if you claim that Jesus is the Christ, you'll be thrown out of the synagogue. So this guy's called to give an account to the Pharisees, and he tells them what he knows, which isn't the whole story. He doesn't claim to know who Jesus is. All he knows is what Jesus has done for him. And the Pharisees even call his parents in, which for the first time has made me think, I wonder why they called his parents. You don't see that in many accounts of the Gospels, that the Pharisees turn to someone's parents. I wonder if the guy was actually quite young, because twice the parents say, he's of age, why don't you ask him? Which makes me think that maybe he was only just of age. Now, I don't know at what age the testimony of a man in Jewish traditions was, but I wonder, maybe this guy's a lot younger than I've previously thought he was. I've always imagined, I guess, him being quite old, maybe. But maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was in his late teens. Maybe he was in his early 20s. And the parents are saying, basically, ask him, he's of age. But it tells us in the passage, the reason they're saying that isn't because they're like, they want to give him the glory and the dignity of telling his own story. It's actually because they're afraid of getting kicked out of the synagogue. They don't want to get kicked out. So they kind of throw their son under the bus. They're kind of basically saying, well, ask him. We don't want to talk about it. Ask him what happened. And I wonder how that felt for him, to have his parents saying, yeah, we don't know, ask him. Twice they say, ask him. And it's unlikely that this guy would have been able to go back to the begging community. He would have had friends there probably. I mean, it's speculation, but he would have been ostracised from most groups. So as a beggar, as a blind beggar, his only potential friendship circle really would have been amongst others who were also outcasts. And yet he wouldn't have been able to go back to that group because he now can see. He's been healed. He's now completely whole. And also then we see the Pharisees just become increasingly agitated by his responses, to the point where eventually it basically says this in John chapter 9 and verse 34. You were born in utter sin, and would you teach us? And they cast him out. But this next verse is so beautiful, and this is the thing that has struck me. Many things actually in this passage have struck me for the first time on this reading of it, but this is the thing that's living with me for the last few days. Verse 35, Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and having found him, he said, do you believe in the Son of Man? And then basically the guy comes to put his faith in Jesus and he worships him. But the bit that is just so beautiful to me about the mercy of God is Jesus hears that he's been cast out and he goes to find him. Isn't that just wonderful? Jesus would have known this guy, his parents won't stand up for him. He can't go back to his community if he has one. And now the Pharisees, instead of celebrating and glorifying God, they have cast him out. They've cast him aside. And yet Jesus, when he hears that this has happened, when he hears that the guy has been cast out, Jesus goes to find him. I just find this incredibly beautiful. And I think we can apply it in two ways to our lives this week. First of all, celebrating that in whichever ways through our lives we have been cast out, Jesus comes to find us. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's incredible mercy. But also, who are those around us who've been cast out? Who are the outcasts? Who are those that no one else wants to spend time with or hang out with or engage with or interact with in any way? Who are they? Why don't we go and find them and show them the same mercy that we ourselves have received? Have a great week.